The real estate market and the rental market, specifically here on 30A, is constantly changing. I'm here with Alex Curry. He's my buddy, and he's the director of business development for 360 Blue. He's going to talk about where we are, where we've been, and where we're heading as we wrap up Q3. So if you feel like your rental property isn't making the same returns as it was once before, there's definitely reasons for that. And Alex, as we wrap up Q3 and we're looking forward into 2025 now, is there anything that surprised you this past year?
Yeah.
That stands out?
Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for having me. It's great to be here. A couple things that surprised me in today's market is I expected all communities to be down relative to same time last year. And I looked at it through the lens of RevPAR, which is a metric that balances occupancy with average daily rates. And I went with that metric because it's the most comprehensive and concise. And a few things that surprised me were most communities were down in RevPAR compared to same time last year, but a few actually are pacing ahead, which really surprised me and I was encouraged by. So kind of in order of importance, the top three, there were three that were pacing ahead. Number one is Seaside. Seaside pacing ahead in RevPAR at right around 20%, which blew my mind because that's a healthy margin. Digging in a bit deeper, it's mostly attributed to average daily rates being higher, as well as occupancy, but mostly average daily rates. Number two is Inlet Beach at 7%, mostly attributed to increased occupancy. And then number three is Panama City Beach at 5%, also attributed mostly to occupancy. So it was surprising to me that those three communities are pacing ahead. Would love to see it for other communities, and we'll see how that shakes out down the line. Unfortunately, everything else was either down or flat compared to same time last year relative to RevPAR, mostly down. But we'll see how it shakes out in the future.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to look at as obviously Seaside is a well-known beach community, so I think the common trend that we may see is that those beach communities are going to still remain popular. Like I have friends that when they think of 30A, they call it Seaside, the entire thing, right? So it's just one of those things. Inlet Beach, we have a lot new construction, better standards when it comes down to finishings, cost per square foot over there. And then Panama City Beach is going to be that natural overflow, from the west end or the east end of 30A into Panama City Beach. So that's super interesting. Now, I know you mentioned that some communities are still slightly down, but 360 Blue is still kind of leading the market in terms of RevPAR, right?
We are. We're leading the market in all three KPIs, and there's a variety of reasons for that. Just to kind of touch on our strategy as far as how we maintain our track record of consistently outperforming the market, comes down to a couple things. In a nutshell, it's our vast database we've accumulated over our 16 years in business. So we have a vast database of guest contact information that are loyal to our brand, well over 650,000 contacts. So it's a variety of initiatives we market to those guests through. Variety of initiatives and mediums, retargeting campaigns, email campaigns, social media campaigns, you name it. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is revenue management. Our in-house revenue team utilizes state-of-the-art automated dynamic pricing software, but it also requires their manual adjustments as needed. So it's kind of the perfect balance between automated changes through the software with the necessary human intervention. If you rely too heavily on one or the other, that tends to lead you to subpar returns. So really hitting that sweet spot. Another aspect is management of minimum length of stay. That's a big one. Us lifting our minimum length of stay before everyone else this year really put us in a position to outperform the market, particularly in occupancy. I anticipate a similar move for next year, and maybe this is a very early forecast, but I do eventually foresee minimum length of stay for summer going away at some point. If you go back several years, one of the main reasons that was put in place was limited flights to this area, and that kind of drove it. Today, you have more flight options, a lot more than you did several years ago, and you have a lot more lodging options. So I think it's necessary for companies to adapt with the times. And I think with our resources and ability to manage more check-ins throughout the week versus just everything on Saturday puts us in a good position, and that's what we're doing. And the other aspect is retention of homeowners and retentions of the homes you want, right? Taking excellent care of the homes, keeping your homeowners apprised of what's going on in the market, what you're doing to promote their home and get optimal returns for them. So those are kind of, in a nutshell, the crucial aspects, I think, of outperforming the market.
I think it's amazing. I think you kind of see the direct reflection of the work that you guys are putting in through your rental portfolio too, right? High-end homes. I think you guys are doing a killer job. Last time we talked about the number of short-term rentals across the entire area increasing. Have you seen that change as we head into the end of the year?
You know, Walton County Tourism Board recently released an article, showing that a slight decline from August of this year to October in the number of vacation rental units, approximately 2%, which is encouraging as far as trending back to a better balance between supply and demand. I would be remiss if I didn't say that supply is a fluid thing.
Sure.
Sometimes it looks like it's trending in the right direction, other days you see an increase. Getting more granular on it and looking at nights available to book. Unfortunately, we're still, this year, there are 26% more nights available to book in the market compared to same time last year. So it's still a thing where we have supply outstripping demand by a healthy margin.
Gotcha.
But there are some encouraging signs. Looking forward at 2025, looking at nights available to book, I am seeing right now a 9% decrease. So that's significant.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out, but that's something I am encouraged by.
That's awesome. I think another thing we talked about last time that I'm curious to see if changed. Every time we have showing requests or anything like that, typically, hopefully if they're a good agent, they're doing it 2 to 3 days out from when they're showing the property. But now it's kind of like we have to check in the morning up to make sure it's not rented out last minute.
Yeah.
Are you guys still seeing that transition of people renting last minute? And is there anything that you guys have to do to adjust to capture that demand?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to be ready for last minute bookings, right? And, always have to make sure that the home is in excellent shape for the guest and they have a wonderful experience, and you're communicating with them before, during, and after their stay to make sure they come back. And I mean, that all ties into why we have such a vast database that's loyal to our brand and such a high repeat guest rate.
No, I love that. I was talking to one of my buddies, and we're talking about the market, and there's a lot of people saying that it's stagnant, right? Things are taking a little longer to move on the real estate market.
Sure.
But I think one thing that he said was the market's not stagnant, just the buyers are more selective. And I think it comes down to the same things from the rental market standpoint.
Absolutely.
With a wide range of supply, people are going to be a lot more selective. And that brings us to this beautiful house that we're in right here. Second tier Gulf front. We're at 160 Seabird Drive, one of my newest listings. And it has all those features that we talked about before. It has a gated community, private beach access, views from every floor. Tell me about what people are actually looking for. If someone's watching this and they're a buyer, what should they be looking for when analyzing a property?
Well, they should, you mean in terms of amenities or
everything,
performance?
Yeah. Amenities,
I mean,
sleep numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of amenities, golf views like this are a big one. I think a home like this certainly fares better in today's market when guests have so many options. Also looking at how that home is performing relative to its peers, which we have plenty of data on. So we can actually benchmark how a home like this is performing relative to comparable properties in terms of layout and amenities. That's an important takeaway to look at as well. So not just a rental projection, right? Anyone can give you a number on a piece of paper,
right.
But I think to kind of take it a step further is how is that home performing relative to its peers in the market?
Yeah.
And that's what we have plenty of data on.
Awesome. And as we wrap up this video, I want to talk about what's your top tip for someone that wants to have an investment property on 30A. I know we talked about what they should look for, but if they have a property, the biggest trend that I've seen kind of recently is people are buying properties that they know they can enjoy with their families, right? It's more of a second home that they can rent out in the meantime for the hot seasons. Is there anything that you're kind of seeing, whether that's a trend-wise or a tip-wise, that we can kind of leave the viewers with?
Well, I mean, as far as if you're looking for stability, I think there's some communities to look at that offer you better stability in terms of rates. Rosemary Beach is an excellent one that's pretty stable. Seaside's a great one, as we mentioned, it's pacing well ahead in RevPAR right now. Watercolor's a good performer as well, little down, but it's still stable. I think part of the reason some of these communities perform well, even though they may be a little bit down compared to previous years, is the amenities offered in the community. And also, some of these are built out, so you're not going to be, subject to just endless supply entering that space in that particular community. So that's something I think Rosemary Beach benefits from. Watercolor to a certain degree as well. So those are things I think to look at as a potential client for an investment property if you're looking for stability. And we're happy to guide you in the right direction as well, whether it's through rental projections or highlighting what communities would be the best fit for you as well.
Awesome. 360 Blue is my go-to. I love all the information and stuff that you put out, not only for realtors, but the homeowners and everything. I just think being dangerous, if you will, is being incredibly informed, right? That's when you can maximize your investments. You can enjoy everything down here at 30A. I think a lot of people got caught in the trap over the last couple of years of, hey, this is gonna make me X. And so when that number declines, there's false expectations there. So I think if you're out there, you're looking at buying property on 30A, or you currently have a property on 30A, reach out to Alex, reach out to me. We'd love to answer any questions that you may have. And can't wait to see you at the beach soon.